Hello.
Welcome to episode 13 of What to Read This Weekend. You'll notice we look a little bit different today. Did you notice?
I do.
Marie, did you notice?
I did notice. I'm wearing a graduation cap, and so are you in our Bitmojis.
I know. I was really excited about outfitting us today. If this is your first time joining us, What to Read This Weekend is our weekly video web series. We record live, and then we also post on Instagram TV and YouTube, and you can watch these in our show notes, which I will post in the chat in a second. And Marie, would you like to talk to us about what our theme is this week?
Yes, please proceed. Our theme is graduation. So all of our books feature a senior or someone moving into their freshman year of college. So we have a lot to talk about.
All right. The first book that we're sharing this week is The Silence Between Us by Alison Gervais. This book is available through AudiobookSYNC. Thank you, AudiobookSYNC, for being here today. This book is about Maya, the main character, who became deaf after battling meningitis as a younger teen. And she has spent the majority of her education after that at a school for the deaf. And her family is, she's a single mom and a brother who also has cystic fibrosis, and her family is made a decision to move across the country, and she is going, for the first time since she has been deaf, she is going to go to a school, I guess regular school or a hearing school is how she refers to it. And I will say that I thought Maya was a pretty tough cookie. Like, sometimes you hear the phrase like somebody has a chip on their shoulder, and I think she feels like she is just like anybody who has to move during high school. I didn't move during high school, but I did move during my K-12 education. It's really hard to get used to a new place, and especially when the whole format of how you learn is now different. And so she's pretty stubborn about like the ways in which she wants to, I guess, access her resources. Like, she doesn't necessarily want an implant, which is something that a cochlear implant is something that a lot of deaf folks might be interested in to kind of help them like hear. But anyways, she's kind of surprised that a few of these friends have really made an effort to learn American Sign Language, ASL, including this cute boy, Bo. And she kind of brushes Bo off over and over again because she has like a very high expectations for herself. She is the book covers the college application process and getting ready for college. It's like kind of her whole senior year. And in that plan, a boyfriend was not part of it. So this kind of is like throwing her whole plan off. But I feel like kind of has a great message about finding yourself and growing up and being true to yourself. And I thought that was a great message for graduates, because this week we're focusing on graduates. It's definitely a character-driven book. I think a lot of the books that we are sharing this week are character-driven because graduation is such like a personal endeavor and like a milestone for a lot of us. The author is hearing impaired, and there is an interview at the end. And this book is available as an audiobook through AudiobookSYNC, which is a free service for teens to get audiobooks. If you don't know how to do that, you can check our show notes, or you can email one of us, or ask your librarian. Next book is
We Are Okay by NIna LaCour. She won, was it a Pritzker? No, a Prince. I was lucky enough that this book was chosen for a library book club. So the synopsis is Marin. It starts with Marin, and she's sitting in her dorm room during winter break. And she's basically the only one staying there. So you're not really sure why is this kid in her dorm, her freshman year of college. But the only thing she's looking forward to is her best friend Mabel is coming from San Francisco. So through a series of flashbacks, you learn that her grandfather suddenly dies just before she graduates from college. You also learn that her grandfather kept some pretty deep secrets about her mother. And you also learn about a very complex relation that Marin, the lead character, and Mabel, her bestie, have with each other. I love this book because it's really beautifully written and it's very lyrical. It's almost a poem. It's not a book in verse, but it's definitely lyrical, like poetry. And what I really love, I was trying to figure out how to say this, but she expresses really complex emotions and feelings in just a very few brief words. And so it's like looking at a really delicately detailed watercolor as opposed to a very oil painting. And I loved it. And all the people who read it loved it in the book group too. So I can't recommend it enough. You can get it through Libby or your SimplyE, which are both New York Public Library. You just need your library card and your PIN. And again, if you have trouble, reach out to your librarian.
That's beautiful. Water, like thinking about it as a watercolor.
Yeah, it is. Like, you know, it really is. It's a beautiful book. You should read it.
Well, it's now you and Marco Shiro who are telling me I have to read it. So, really two amazing people.
Thank you.
The next book is Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. You might recognize Julie Murphy's name because she is the author of Dumplin' and Puddin'. I think Dumplin' was made into a movie on Netflix or Hulu. Don't remember. And this book is about Ramona. This is one of my library aides, Elise's favorite book. She recommends it to everybody. And so I was asking her about what I should make sure I say in this book. And I guess I should bring up what she said also. But Ramona she's about 5 when Hurricane Katrina hit. And she lives in coastal Mississippi in a trailer. And she loves swimming, as you can see by the front cover of the book. So swimming and eating occur over and over again in this book. And the other thing she likes is girls. She's pretty sure she likes girls. That is until her childhood best friend, Freddie, comes back into her life, and she thinks that maybe now she likes boys and girls. So Elise said that she really liked that this book was about finding out your sexuality and also understanding that sexuality is a spectrum, and that you don't have to fit into one label about what other people think about you, and you can kind of make your own identity, and you can make your own reality. And also the issues that she faced during that process, finding herself and being true to herself. And this fits into our theme of graduation, because this book takes place during Ramona's senior year. And she thinks, just kind of like Maya, that she had everything figured out, except Ramona thinks that she's going to stay home after graduation because her sister is pregnant and she wants to help her sister take care of her new niece or nephew. So it's really, although there is romance in it, it's really a story about friendship and family and the decisions that we make for the people that we love, as well as about finding ourselves. And this book is available on Libby or SimplyE from New York Public Library and Brooklyn Public Library as an ebook and an audiobook.
Woo! Rachel, that sounds like Marie's kind of book.
Oh, Elise is here.
Oh, no, Elise, I was told I needed to read that yesterday. I'm definitely putting that on. I really like her as an author, so I think she represents diversity in great ways. Anyway, I'm rambling. So the next book I'm going to talk about is In the Country We Love by Diane Guerrero. She is indeed an actress from what is it from? Oh, Orange is the New Black. This book is often checked out in my library. It's one of the more popular biographies. So she comes to New York. Well, actually, her family comes to New York. Her parents and her brother come to New York, and she's born shortly thereafter. And what the book explores is her entire life, but it particularly explores what it's like when you're an undocumented citizen and how your world, oh yeah, and I forgot it's a true story, and how your world sort of shrinks because you're always trying to hide yourself and make sure nobody notices you. And you always have the looming fear that, for Diane, the writer, the author, she always had a fear that her parents would be deported, and that actually happens one day when she comes home and she finds out that her parents have been deported along with her brother. And she ends up staying with her aunt. She's 14 when her parents are deported, and it talks about how she has to finish school, graduate. It also talks about some of her struggles that she's had after graduation and how deeply the experience of losing her parents and trying to maintain a connection affected her. The other thing that is kind of fun is you do get some Orange is the New Black dish. There's like some scoopy little details if you're curious. Again, I love the style that she writes. You can almost imagine her saying that if you like know her character. You can kind of hear her voice. And I also really like that she talks a lot about her own mental health struggles and how deeply the like losing that connection with your parents affected her. And I think she's a really great advocate for undocumented citizens and those that are like extremely affected by immigration status. So this book I recommend. It is on Open EBooks, and you just need to have your login and your PIN. If you don't have either of those, oh, and an app. If you don't have any of those, reach out to your librarian because she can help you out.
But we had some more that we wanted to share with you that kind of talked about the senior year / graduation experience. The first one is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. And if you read or watched Love, Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, this is technically the second book, but there's just a lot in the like Creekwood series. That's the name of their school / town. Including Love, Victor on Hulu, which I've really been liking recently. Has anyone been watching it?
No, but
not as much as Never Have I Ever. Love, Victor. Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
But I'm waiting for Leah to get her own Netflix show.
Who?
I want Leah on the Offbeat.
Leah, yeah. So I just really liked Leah. She is kind of an outsider in her town. She is like, her town has a lot of like really wealthy folks, and she would consider herself like more normal. And she's a single parent, household. She's Jewish. She's in the book, she is like very fat positive. In the movie, I feel like her character was a little bit different. So if you were annoyed with her in the movie, you should still read the book, because I thought she was better in the book. I think that Becky Albertalli just has a really great, authentic teen voice. And this one is available at the public library, but also as an audiobook on MackinVIA. So reach out to your librarian about that one.
All right. So I have Autoboyography, which I think is an incredibly clever name, by Christina Lauren. Where to go? This definitely fits your theme because he is a senior in high school, but he shows up he moves from California to Provo, Utah. Provo, Utah has a very conservative Mormon community, and Sebastian is not Mormon. He is an out bisexual in California at his old school, and he is half Jewish. So as you might imagine, this is the perfect setup for some strange hilarity to ensue. And indeed that does happen, because he falls head over heels with Sebastian, whose father is a devout Mormon, and then there's all these like various traumas that happen. You know, Sebastian doesn't want to label his sexuality, but Tanner does. So anyway, I like this story. Why I love it. The story is super satisfying. I really enjoyed reading the story, and I thought the bisexual representation was great. The plot was like a little meandering, but and a little bit clunky, but I was ready to ride it till the end. So go check it out. You'll find it very entertaining. Oh, it's
also, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So
do you need a break? I could do Loveboat Taipei.
No, I can talk about the field.
Okay.
This is the Field Guide to North American Teenager. This seriously is one of the funniest books I've read. This in the quarantine. Laugh out loud. So you have the main. Oh yeah, they have a new cover. I like that as well. So you have the main character, whose name is totally escaping me. It'll come. He is hyper sweaty. I can relate to that. Uber snarky, Black, Haitian, French Canadian. Oh, Norris. His name is Norris. He moves from Canada to Austin, Texas for his senior year. Not only a senior year, in the middle of the year. And he basically writes the book as if it's like a burn book. So there are really funny narratives. He's got a very funny voice. There's a wide assortment of characters. And he, of course, falls in love with a girl who, like, totally disses him. And anyway, you should read it so you can get all the details. It was very funny and super enjoyable. And you can check it out. There's limited copies, but it's well worth it. Now your turn, Rachel. Go.
Okay. Loveboat Taipei is about our main character, whose name I also forgot. But I just got excited as I was thinking about this, because I'm pretty sure that we featured this one in the very beginning of like in one of the first episodes, but we didn't have, there were like no copies available. And I just checked and there are plenty of copies. So that's pretty exciting. So she is graduating from high school, and she lives in Ohio, and her parents decide that it's very important to her, they're Taiwanese American, that she learns Mandarin that's just really important to them. And so they send her to Taipei to learn Mandarin in this program, which it turns out is a little bit more about partying than it is about like education. So I thought it sounded really cute and kind of reminded me of like a study abroad experience and just kind of all the ways that we find ourselves before we go to college. Like college is a great time to like, you know, you've been with the same people for like 4 years and you kind of get to reinvent yourself. And so it's a lot about finding yourself and who you are and your identity. So I thought this one was cool.
And we have The Magicians by Lev Grossman. You have the main character, whose name I'm forgetting again. It must be in the air, Rachel. It's like the last.
It's too hot. It's like
anyway. He's a senior in high school, and he is secretly obsessed with fantasy and that he read as a child, and he's very obsessed with a magical land called Fillory. As he gets ready to graduate, he unexpectedly finds himself admitted to a very exclusive college in upstate New York, and lo and behold, this is the magical place of Fillory, and he's here to learn magic. And so just like any book that talks about the transition from being a senior in high school to a freshman in college, he learns all kinds of things. Friendship, partying, and boredom, and also how to be a student. And he learns magic. The book is awesome. By the way, magic doesn't make Quentin, that's the character's name, doesn't make Quentin less, he's pretty miserable, and even when he learns magic, it doesn't like change him overnight. Why I love it is because this is like the adult version, more adult version of Harry Potter. Magic isn't, yeah. Well, magic isn't magic. That's exactly it. I wish I had said that now. He does learn that, oh, I lost my train. He does, why I like it. Okay, so it's an adult version. Everything is not really black and white. Like in the Harry Potter novels, it's very clear who's evil and who's good. And in this magical world, it's more about regular people having magic. And again, magic doesn't solve everything. And there's also a television show which kind of follows it, but not exactly. And that ends my...
And it's a series, so if you like it,
the second one.
Lots of books. So some announcements. We always announce what books are available on AudiobookSYNC, and I also wanted to share something that our new friend said about The Silence Between Us, which is the first book we highlighted, is that the audiobook is narrated by Chloe Dolandis, and she makes ALS, fingerspelling, and spoken English different throughout the book. It's if you're looking at the physical book, there is like a difference in the way that things are presented, and so it's cool to see that it's also that way in the audiobook. And the other book featured this week is Mexican White Boy by Matt de la Peña, who's also a great author. These books are both Own Voices books. So highly recommend the AudiobookSYNC. You have until midnight, 11:59 next Wednesday to download these. And then once you download them, they're in your app forever, and you can listen to them for the next 98 years. I calculated that. And then there'll be new books the following week until I think through July. So you could rack up a good number of picks and listen to them throughout the rest of the summer. And this is the wrong button. This week is Kidlit Pride at Home. There are some pre-recorded panels that Kidlit is going to share on YouTube throughout the weekend. You can follow them on Instagram or Twitter at Kidlit Pride, or go to kidlitpride.com. I think that this has been one of the like silver linings of remote learning, is being able to see all these cool authors from your own home. It's made me really excited about reading things that I don't normally know if I would have picked up. So I don't know about you guys, but I think it's pretty fun.
And our big announcement.
And yes, our big announcement is that we're taking next week off, but we're going to be back. Well, I'm going to be back on July 10th with a special guest. And then Marie will be back on July 17th. So